What's up squad, my name is ESO and welcome back to the channel. One of the members of my Elder Scrolls Online guild messaged me the other day and said, ESO, you should make a video on the new Morrowind Vvardenfell DLC coming out to ESO. And I was like, what dude, are you pulling my leg? Well, sure enough, he wasn't kidding. There's actually a Reddit user named Dominoid73 who has done a little bit of good old data mining for us to uncover this beauty, this map of Vvardenfell, which you guys will recognise if you played Morrowind. Hot damn did I get excited about this, and for good reason too, because this is pretty damn solid evidence, guys. This is a whole map that's already been built of Vvardenfell. But let us probe it a little bit further and discuss firstly what we know so far, secondly what some of the areas might be used for, and thirdly what some of these locations might be and how this place goes together in the Elder Scrolls timeline. And guys, just so you know, because some people have been asking, I will be sending out the codes for my latest giveaway for a copy of the Elder Scrolls Online game today. So make sure you check out your inbox on the app to see if you've got a message from me yet, and then I'll send you a copy of the game. Now, I know a lot of people, including myself, will be hoping for a Morrowind re-release, like Skyrim Special Edition's re-release. And as Bethesda have already quoted on and said, it would take them so much longer to recreate Morrowind from the ground. It would literally just be a ground up remake of a game. They'd have to create new character models, new textures, new animation. It would literally be building a completely new game based on an old one. So what I think they've decided to do is instead make headway into the next Elder Scrolls 6 game and spend their time on that. And I've already made a video on where I think that game will be located and what it will be like. And you can go and check that out down below in the description if you're interested. But for me, I think the idea that Morrowind's coming to the Elder Scrolls Online is as good a compromise as we could get. And the Elder Scrolls Online is a really good looking MMO. There's no doubt about that. So I'm still really excited to explore Morrowind in ESO, even though it is definitely an MMO and not really an RPG, like most of us have experience with, you know, Skyrim and so on. So it is a different kind of experience in that sense, but you still get to explore the world, which is something I'm really looking forward to. But that's a really interesting talking point, I think. So please let me know your thoughts on how you feel about that. Obviously, I guess most people would still want a Morrowind remake, but you know, this is what we're going to get, and now I'm going to show you the map locations on it. But I can tell you guys almost certainly that this new Vvardenfell DLC will be coming out in the very near future. And I would hazard an educated guess, based on Bethesda's history, that this new Zone DLC will be released on May the 1st. And as you grizzled veterans of the series will know, May the 1st this year, 2017, will be the 15th anniversary of the initial launch of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which initially came out back in 2002, making it the perfect time to bring out Vvardenfell into the Elder Scrolls Online, just to mark that pivotal occasion. So the 1st of May is when I expect to see this game released to the Elder Scrolls Online, but we'll probably see some gameplay trailers and hear some news about it officially before then. But it does seem like ZeniMax are releasing a new DLC every quarter this year, so bear that in mind for future releases as well, guys. The first thing I want to look at though is the size of this zone location, because the screenshot here I've got on screen compares Vvardenfell to Hrothgar and Stonefall, that are two other zones that you may have already visited in the Elder Scrolls Online. And as you can see, Vvardenfell compared to those two zones, this is to scale, is just absolutely massive. This is by far going to be the biggest PvE zone in the entire game. And when I say PvE, I mean player versus environment, for those of you who aren't familiar with MMOs. But yeah, it's just huge, as you can see. Another Reddit user called Floor Below also commented that the Red Mountain, which is the giant volcano in the middle, seems to be inaccessible. But despite this guys, just so you know, Vvardenfell is still clearly going to be a bigger zone than any other zone before it. But it does lead me on to the question, why is the Red Mountain inaccessible and what could this mean? My own opinion on this is that ZeniMax will do the exact same thing they did with the Imperial City. The central Red Mountain, like the Imperial Tower, will become a new trial zone or dungeon with a few new bosses, and we may see this released after the rest of the PvE area. The same thing can also be said for Sheogorath, which I've probably just butchered the name and I'm sorry. This area is in the north of the map here. And once again, Reddit user Floor Below explains that the area looks like it's still currently under construction, so it's still being developed. But he also mentions that there seems to be a giant wall of rock separating the area from us. So once again, I think that this is a potential trials area, but I believe the Red Mountain is the most likely location for the trial zone, just because it would be such a cool sort of area for like a massive boss fight to occur. So before we talk about the other locations in Vvardenfell, I want to talk to you guys about the timeline of the Elder Scrolls series, just so we're all on the same page here, because there is something on this map that doesn't actually make sense. So here's my shitty timeline of the Elder Scrolls series. A beautiful thing, I know, I spent many hours crafting this with my bare hands in paint. So it starts off with the Elder Scrolls Online, which is based in the Second Era. And this is when Molag Bal is trying to take over Tamriel with his anchors and like drag it into his plane of oblivion to harvest everybody's soul. And then in the Third Era we have Morrowind, which is where most of us would have first explored Vvardenfell itself. So just so you know guys, Morrowind happened after the Elder Scrolls Online. Then in the Fourth Era, 49, just for reference, we have the Infernal City, which is the name of a book. And this book has a lot of lore on the Red Mountain and why it actually exploded, which is so damn interesting if you read it. And I'll put a link down below on where you can buy it and read it for yourself if you're interested. It's a two-part series. And just so you know, the Red Mountain actually initially erupted back in the First Era, so before the Elder Scrolls Online. And then we have again the Fourth Era, 176, which is when Skyrim's Civil War actually occurred. So now you guys probably understand the timeline in relation to like which Elder Scrolls game you might have played. And there is another DLC called The Clockwork City, which we've already sort of seen and we know that's coming out before Vvardenfell. And this particular DLC is going to be based on a Dwemer city. And if you guys have played the Elder Scrolls Online, you would have met the Prophet. And he dropped this huge bombshell about this DLC. He said that the war with the Daedra will start when the Clockwork City is open. So I think guys, we may see a continuation of this story arc when we visit Vvardenfell. And as I said before guys, the Red Mountain erupted back in the First Era, so before the Elder Scrolls Online. But then 50 years later, so very shortly after the eruption, the Battle of the Red Mountain occurred between the Nords and an alliance of Dwemer and Chimer. And this shortly resulted in the disappearance of the Dwemer. So I think this story would really tie in to Vvardenfell and the Clockwork City DLC. That's my opinion on it anyhow. And my knowledge of lore isn't like as good as yours. So let me know in the comments your thoughts on this matter and how you think it might connect. So now let's get up my favourite map of all. This is a hand-drawn map of Vvardenfell that some of you will definitely recognise. This is literally my favourite drawing of any map I've ever seen in my life. I love it. But anyway, you can see many of the locations have been circled by Dominoi 73. Each colour represents a location type. So the red circles represent points of interest. And of course we might see more of these as time goes on because all of this evidence was data mined in patch 2.4. And then we have the green circles that show us the 6 delves that now have locations. The orange circles, on the other hand, show us the exciting world boss locations, and there are apparently 4 more world bosses, but we just don't know where they are yet. So these are the current ones, we know where they are, so as soon as we load up the game we can go kill them. The yellowish circles represent the 2 public dungeons, which again, really can't wait to see what the story is for these and what the final boss will be like. I think we can definitely expect some Dwemer influences though. And then we have the blue circles, which are named points of interest, and these could be a wide variety of things. Like in the other zones, there'll probably be Daedric shrines, new cities, new towns, camps, Dwemer ruins, or standing stones. They could be, you know, any collection of those things. But there we have it, guys. If you do want to share your own speculation on what you think you may encounter in these locations, please let me know, because personally I'm really excited to see the Telvanni towers, which have them huge like mushroom caps on top of them. They're like mushroom trees basically. And I can't wait to see and play the new bosses in the new dungeons. Rather interestingly though, the Reddit user Floor Below also points out that Redoran Town is present, which is strange because it didn't exist in Morrowind, so it does make you wonder what happened in between for it to exist before and then suddenly disappear from the face of the earth. And then we also have Rethan Manor, which also exists despite the fact it was still being built during Morrowind, and as I showed you on the timeline, Morrowind happened after ESO, so I'm not so sure if that's a mistake or what. What do you guys think about that? But if you did enjoy the video and you found it interesting, please do give it a like, and make sure that you smash that subscribe button as well to get the latest news on the Elder Scrolls Online DLC coming out very soon. But thanks very much for watching me, ESO, and I will see you guys in the next Elder Scrolls video, so have a fantastic day, and goodbye!